Welcome back to Words of Life. I'm Bernie Dake with the Salvation Army, and I'm joined by these fine gentlemen in their uniforms who happen to be Salvation Army officers and fathers, which is our series. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're talking about parenthood from a father's perspective, and man, we've learned everything about the finding out that you're about to be a dad, actually becoming a dad, and what that all means, and the nervousness of walking out of a hospital, and then some of the rewards and challenges, and I think I want to kind of go off of last week's discussion where we talked about even protecting our children from a discipleship perspective and how we try to get out in front of what the world has for us. And one of those things is media in any form, and social media in particular. Movies, television, but social media is just something that we are constantly on. And when I say we, I mean I am as guilty as anybody in the room of wanting to see what someone's posting on Facebook or what pictures on Instagram, or I was learning about other social media channels I'd never even heard of last week, and this is just a new way to consume your time. And I wonder if you guys would be willing to, of course, don't out your children. We don't want you to use their names. Let's protect them. But what are some of the challenges that you've had to face, or some of the hard things, particularly related to social media?
Again, it's going back to the comparison for our daughter. Just being mindful of who she is and who she is in the Lord, and that with the world and the filter that it is, that's not real life. That's a beautiful picture of a beautiful dog. She loves dogs. It's a beautiful picture of a beautiful dog. Our dog doesn't match that, but it can be related to other things as well, especially with image and all of that jazz. But to come alongside her and to just encourage her as to who she is and whose she is. And for our son, it's garbage in, garbage out. What you consume through your eyes and through your ears, what you consume will, in effect, it will affect your heart. And so helping him to understand the language, and let's be real, the nudity that is out there, and just all of the craziness, helping him to avoid those things so that he can keep the wellspring of his heart clean.
Yeah. And, in a spirit of transparency, it doesn't necessarily have to be nudity. It's just how much is left there's nothing left to the imagination anymore.
Right.
And it's just, there doesn't seem to be a lot of ways to stop it from hitting a feed because of the way that algorithms work. And it's so scary.
It is.
Yeah. Even being at the office, you have to be careful what you type in on your computer. We were having youth programs, and speaking of getting ready to be a father figure to a multitude of youth, we're typing in and we're getting ready, and my wife all of a sudden just says, "Whoa, hold up." I'm glad that whatever it was wasn't on the big screen. She saw it, but I can only imagine whatever it was, and these kids would have seen it, oh man, we've just opened the door to something else.
Right.
And so I think the biggest challenge is not only just our two boys, but the kids that we're involved within our church.
Right.
Because we're not just fathers to our boys, we're fathers to hundreds of kids on a weekly, daily basis. And so I think that social media has really, it is, I don't want to compare it to the war on drugs, but it literally has become that. It's a constant everyday thing, because you got kids who are wanting to, who liked my post, who liked my comment, who liked my fit, as they say now today, right? So that dopamine of wanting to be liked and loved by so many other people who could care less about you. We gotta be, again, that example of what love is, and sharing that and showing that to not just our two boys, but to our children that come through our doors all the time. So didn't mean to take it a step further. I know it's supposed to be about family, but
you're good.
I think that we have a huge responsibility as it pertains to us as men in general, to be that example. Because growing up, again, like I mentioned before, in a week or so ago episode, that I didn't have that father figure. And so bouncing around from Section 8 housing to Section 8 housing, and having that opportunity to meeting the Salvation Army at the doorstep, and a Corps officer pastor coming over and knocking on the door saying, "Hey, can your boys come?"
Wow.
Was truly a blessing. I don't know where I would be if it hadn't have been for that leader coming and knocking on our door and saying, "We want your children to come."
You could say their name. That's a good story.
At that point in time, they were Lieutenant Hank and Eunice Hartwell.
Yeah.
So
it's an encouragement, you know. They're just trying to walk in faith and or walk in their purpose like you are right now.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. Be encouraged. Todd, last week you were talking about the, an audit even of devices in your home. And it doesn't sound strange to me. It just sounds like love because you're trying to protect your kids. Have you had to have any difficult conversations because they did have something that maybe they didn't understand was pervasive or provocative or not necessarily good for them?
Yeah, we did. And particularly, there were things coming across the feed, like you were saying, Josh. You're not looking for them, but because of an algorithm, something could pop up.
Yeah.
And so in the course of looking at phone use, I said, "So tell me about this," which was, embarrassing. And so we had phone restrictions, both what we had on the phone and actually the phone itself. So we had some digital restrictions. One of the things that I'm very mindful of, because, my day, Bernie, and maybe even in your day, cell phones and social media didn't exist.
Exactly.
We would go out in the morning and come home at night only because we were hungry.
That's right.
And these days, you don't see children out playing as much. You don't see as much variety in what they're doing. And so one of the things, I'm very mindful of is about once a week on the phone, it tells you how long you've been on your phone, how much phone use. And I give myself a round of applause when my phone use goes down. And I'm also very sensitive to that with my children, because if they love playing music. So how much better in the way of being a musician could they be if they weren't always in the social media or they like to be out of doors doing athletic stuff? How much better, could they be at certain other things or have a more variety than if they were always on their phones? And it is a challenge for parents today.
I've heard this. I cannot tell you where it comes from or if it's factual, but it certainly meant something to me because I believe it to be true. But if we just spent 18 minutes a day focused on one thing, that would put us in the top 3 percentile in the world of whatever that is. So, think about the discipline of making music or what it takes to learn how to read music or play a guitar or whatever it is. 18 minutes a day, by the end of a year, you'd be very competent. But by the end of 2 years, you'd probably be working successfully in that field, perhaps. But 18 minutes a day is nothing when it comes to how much time we're spending on social media. For me, walking from an office to a restroom or another office, I'm checking the email and the voicemails and who posted what? And, it's terrible. And the devil is a liar. Let's get an amen on this.
Yeah.
Amen.
And those little interactions, even for me, an adult who professes a faith in Jesus Christ and a saving grace, and I'm living in that purpose, those interactions are taking my time away from things that would be much more meaningful to me.
Preaching now.
Yeah, and it's just being focused, on the next task. What am I worried about? I can take care of this email or that voicemail or that comment or whatever when I get back or when I carve out the time. It's crazy.
One thing during Lent that I did, I kicked off my notifications on my phone. So like I don't get notifications off of Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, well, now known as X, or now even text messages. And people were like, "Hey man, are you okay?" Like the first 2 months, people were calling and I'm like, "Y'all, I'm fine. Like your text message is not priority to me. Your notification right now is not priority to me." Like we've got so much other things that we can be doing with our day. And sad to say, I think I lost a couple of friends over it, but at the same time, like, know that I love you, but like there's more to life than me, my phone in my head is down like this. Again, like if we're gonna if I can't fuss at my boys or say, hey man, you're spending too much time on that game system.
Sure.
If I'm constantly playing my game, I can't fuss at them saying you're spending too much time on your phone when I'm constantly scrolling through TikTok, laughing at stupid people do dumb things. But it's the truth. Like, so we again, if we're going to be that example as men of God, then let's be that example.
Yeah, amen.
There comes a point where our children, in my case now, they're becoming more accountable to us.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're telling them, get off your phone, be here for this, all that jazz, and we're not doing it, they're to the age now where they're comfortable saying, well, you're not. And so that's a beautiful reflection, and also hey, heads up, bud.
Yeah.
Because they were listening.
Yeah.
And now they're bringing it back.
Yeah.
And so that accountability is huge.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
For you guys, one of the lessons that I've learned recently, there's a young man who's in a master's program at a school that I've been a mentor to, and he has a father figure and a mother. They're very active in his life, but he kind of leans into me just for the things he doesn't want to talk to mom and dad about. And he got an invitation to an event via email, and he was so worried about how he was going to respond to that and felt like he needed to do it in an hour, or in that very moment. So he called and said, what should I do? I said, well, take some time. Why don't you pray about that? And just think about all that entails, the travel related to this opportunity, or are there any conflicts with things you've already committed yourself to? And social media, it's like everything is instant these days. You know what Todd already referred to me being old. I appreciate that. Keeping it real.
I'm with you, brother.
We didn't have those challenges. Mail took days to get to your house, and you'd have to respond via mail, which took days to get back. And now everything's over the phone or text, or man, so fast.
6 to 8 weeks is unheard of.
Exactly. Right. Man, I think we could sit in this topic for some time and talk about the fences and the defenses that we need to protect our children. And I applaud you guys as fathers for just being willing to be vulnerable with our audience and help us to think about ideas of what we could be doing for the kids that have been given to us and trusted to us, or those that, as mentors and peers that are available to us. We want to keep pouring in the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for sure. So that means you got to come back and learn more in the next episode of Words of Life right here. God bless you.